Stockard Channing is one of the greats of the stage and screens both big and small. On Broadway, she's been nominated for 7 Tony Awards and won 1 for Joe Egg. Other stage credits include The House of Blue Leaves, 6 Degrees of Separation, which also earned her an Oscar nom for the film adaptation, Pal Joey, Other Desert Cities, and It's Only a Play. On TV, she's won Emmy Awards for playing the First Lady in The West Wing and Judy Shepard in The Matthew Shepard Story. And let's not forget Grease. How could we ever forget her delicious turn as Betty Rizzo? Now she's back on the boards in the searing new drama, Apologia. She's here to talk about all of that and more on this week's Show People. Stockard, so happy you're here. And I have to tell you, all my friends are happy you're here too. When I've told people you were coming in for an interview, people love you. And I mean, I know why. I love you, but like, do you feel that way?
That's really nice.
Yes, people get very excited.
Of course, they don't really know me, so maybe if they knew me, they wouldn't love me so much.
I don't know. I think there's a lot to like.
Thanks.
And I love when you're on stage, and I love when you keep coming back to the theater.
Yeah.
And we love having you.
Thank you.
You're like a great lady of the stage now. Do you feel like that?
No. I just feel like me.
And so you are back off-Broadway.
Yes.
And I'm not going to say it wrong.
You can say it right or wrong. I don't matter. As long as you say it. Just keep saying Apologia.
I'm sure you're explaining it to people a lot.
Yeah.
When they...
It's actually a line in a play, and she said it's a formal written defense of one's opinions or conduct.
Okay.
Conduct probably being the operative word.
So that is a real word, and that is
yeah.
And that's what we're dealing with here.
Yeah, it's Latin, I think. I don't know.
I might call it the Stockard Channing play.
Yeah, you could do that.
That works too. I'm going
Yeah.
to see the Stockard Channing play.
Yeah.
You started this play, you did it last year in
Yes,
London.
in London.
And you're back in it with sort of a new team.
Whole new cast, new direction, new set, new everything. But the text is virtually the same. And the writer, Alexi K. Campbell, has been here. And so it's sort of refreshed in a way, but it's the same human being. I'm still playing the same person.
Hugh Dancy?
He's wonderful.
Hugh Dancy is playing your
he's
sons,
divine.
plural.
My sons, yes, I have 2 sons. Yeah, he's divine. He's a lovely guy and so talented.
You play Kristen Miller. Mm-hmm. There's a lot going on with her.
Yes.
She has quite a past.
Yeah, she is a world-renowned art historian, and this is not a spoiler, this is what is in the past. And she was a child of the 60s, 70s, free spirit, and took advantage of all that stuff. She lives in Europe, she's an expatriate, and she lost her children to her ex-husband when they were 7 and 9, and they're now, or say, 40-ish. Mm-hmm. This is really basically their memory, all their memories of what the past is, comes to a head overnight at her house.
Right.
And the boys and she have different memories of what the consequences of this action were.
Right, and she sort of was on a path with her life, and then I guess maybe didn't always think about sort of all the consequences. And then
I think, as I said, she was benefited from at the time that the liberation of men and women that hit late 60s, early 70s, and she unfortunately was, how can I put this? She lost her kids. Her ex-husband violated them and stole them, basically, and then raised them, and which is what I think is really fascinating, because we always hear about these horrible dramas of people losing their kids, but the complication of when kids return into one parent's life and all of that are really quite interesting. And even without that sort of drama, I think we all have interesting attitudes about our parents, and our parents have interesting attitudes about what they've done and haven't done. So it really is about, it's a family pain, and obviously it's a confrontation that takes place overnight in her house.
We are now in a time of activism, right, in this world. This play was actually written during the Obama years.
Yes, it actually takes place in 2009.
Right.
There's a reference to that briefly in it. But, I think it's funny for me because as I said, I did personally benefit from that liberation of the time. And people say women's liberation. I said, you have to remember the word is liberation. And a lot of men were liberated as well. And ironically, right now, we may be going through a sort of parallel thing because people are redefining their connections between men and women and this, that, and the other. And it's a different time. But, I think we all have to realize that every action has consequences in one way or another, but I think basically it resonates with people, as I said, parents and children, because we all like to think we have the accurate version of history, and it's all subjective.
Is the radical activist thing in you? Was that in you then?
Oh, I can't take credit for that. I just kind of had a good time. It did help me to become an actress because I came from a rather conservative background, so I was a bit rebellious in that way. But I really wasn't out to save the world, except in my head. I was basically out to save my life, if you will, and redefine my life.
Right.
Because that was, from somebody my age, you really were raised with an expectation of a very narrow spectrum, especially as a woman, which is almost impossible to remind people of now. The 50s, when I was a little kid, it's so unbelievably different from the world that, we live in now or even 20 years ago.
Yeah, and you were raised on the Upper East Side.
Yeah.
Is it fair to call it a privileged upbringing?
Yeah, but I think, yes, absolutely. I went to good schools, this, that, and the other. But I said it was a very narrow vision of what life should be. I was raised very strictly in the late 60s. All hell broke loose, and some of us took advantage of it, and some of us didn't. A lot of people just went on with their lives.
How do you think it specifically affected you? You said it helped you become an actress?
Well, I kind of ran off and joined the circus, if you would, which wasn't really an option when I was growing up. And my family were a little upset, but that was the time of rock musicals. And it wasn't just theater, it was music and politics, and all that was mixed in together.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So were you home listening to rock musicals, and were you like
I was in rock musicals.
Yeah, what rock musicals did you? Well, you did.
Well, I was at Cambridge in college, and we would do it on our own, and that was a time that's something we take for granted now.
Yeah.
It was just starting.
Did your family see all these performances?
No.
They didn't. They didn't know what you were doing up there.
They were rather upset.
It was not exactly.
There was a lot of.
That wasn't exactly what Mom was picturing.
No. That's not why she sent little Miss Susan to Harvard.
Right.
For me to be doing what I ended up doing.
Right. Yeah. The circus.
And I understand now completely why she was tearing her hair out.
Right.
But, it took me a while to get it all successful too. So.
Thank God you joined the circus. We're going to talk more about your circus years. We're going to take a quick break. We'll be right back with Stockard Channing. We are back with Stockard Channing. I want to tell you this. You were my first bad girl. You were
really?
Sort of, yeah. You were the introduction to bad girls.
I don't really understand that. What was so bad about her?
About Rizzo.
Yeah.
Betty Rizzo.
I'm so glad you remember her first name, because most people don't.
Yeah, Rizzo is not her first name.
It is Betty. Call me Betty.
You're right. She's misunderstood. Maybe she's not bad girl.
Well, yeah,
right.
she
but
she was
love
sexually active.
I love everything about her.
Yeah.
She is fantastic. But I feel like as a kid, she was the first. I'm sorry for saying that, but she was sort of the first.
This is not the first time I've heard this.
I'm sure.
Yeah.
I'm sure. And I'm actually much older than people that tell you this. Yeah, Grease. You were in a movie called Grease.
I was indeed.
Which everyone watching adores.
Yeah.
And you seem to have a good relationship with the legacy of Grease.
I do now. I really do. I'm kind of proud of it because who knew it was going to have a tremendous impact, much less a long life. I have to say, it was quite a while ago that it happened. But I have great affection for Betty. Betty Rizzo now.
Yeah, Betty.
Yeah, I was proud of being in it and of doing it, but I had no idea it was going to be this mega thing that it's turned into.
She's a tough chick. She's not a bad girl. She's tough. Were you tough?
No.
You just talked about your Upper East Side upbringing and maybe exploring your rebellious side a little bit in the circus.
Yeah, maybe, yeah.
How'd you get that role? What was the audition like?
It wasn't an audition. I gather they were having Alan Carr was my manager at the time, and you're absolutely right. I don't think anybody really would have instantly thought of me being Rizzo, but I had made a movie called All American Girl, Jerry Schatzberg directed, in which I played a street kid, a car thief. Year before. And so he saw that, and like bing, 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 in the middle of a phone conversation said, wait a minute, and he showed it to the director, and I had a meeting. I came into the room with the director and Pat Burge, the choreographer, and within 2 days I was there. But I have to tell you, it was a kind of a shock. I was actually making another movie at the time, and I'd go back and forth between Warner Brothers and Paramount. And but it was a very luxurious shoot. It went on for months. It was not cheap, but the production values are fantastic. And but I had time to sort of figure out what I was doing, and I had a great sense of occasion about it because it was a kind of a stretch from who I really was, at the time.
Yeah.
But it seemed to turn out okay.
And I'm sure that song, There Are Worse Things I
Yeah.
Could Do, I'm sure it didn't take that long to film that.
Well, I didn't want to keep it in, actually. I had to
What?
fight for that. Yeah, absolutely. And we literally, it was after lunch, and they threw it in there. We did it maybe 3 takes, for 1 or 2 angles. And
With the intention they were probably going to not
we
use
cut
this.
it. I mean, because they said, oh, it's a downer. And I was so proud of it. And the writer and myself, we kind of nudged. And I guess when they tested the movie, people, thank God, really loved the moment. And so, yeah, I nagged. And
Wow, it's amazing to
thank
think
you. I mean,
that
I was so happy that people remember that, as opposed to all the happy stuff, because it's a lovely song.
Were you singing it live?
We recorded because
recorded
it was just in this sort of breezeway, I guess you'd call it, at Venice High School, and it was very simply shot because they had no time.
Yeah.
Because people really had to get back to work
Yeah.
for the post-lunch shooting, so they shoved it in there, and there it's still
They
there.
said, grab your books, Betty Rizzo.
Grab your books.
We're going to sing.
And I'll tell you a very sweet story. Jeff Conaway, God rest him,
Yeah.
who played my boyfriend, when he heard that we were going to shoot the song, if you look carefully, you'll see him. He's in the background working on his car.
Uh-huh.
And so when I say, if I would cry in front of you, he was there and playing. And it was very sweet of him. He says, oh, I have to be there for her. I have to
wow.
be there for her. It was
Wow.
really dear.
But were you immediately famous? How quickly did that summer,
Oh.
when that movie came out?
A friend of mine said it was like walking down the street with R2-D2, which is an old reference, but I'm sure we all know it. Yeah, I mean, that was kind of a little crazy. There was some crazy stuff about that, because at the beginning, it was really nuts, even before the technology of, VCRs and
Right.
CDs and all
Yeah.
that nonsense took over. Yeah, it was massive.
No, I saw it in the theater like 4 times
yeah,
that summer.
well, yeah, you were not alone.
Yeah, you just kept going.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I memorized
You
Betty
did.
Rizzo, and oh my God, of course. And then I didn't know what they were talking about at the drive-in when they were gossiping about her. I didn't even understand what was happening.
Oh, really?
Oh, I got it now. Yeah, but at the time I didn't even understand what
Oh, my
pregnant meant,
goodness.
or all those things.
Yeah.
You taught me a lot, Stockard.
Well, I'm very glad it all worked out for you.
Where did the name Stockard come from?
It's my maiden name.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, my first marriage was to a man called Channing. His last name was Channing, so my name is Stockard Channing.
Right. Yeah, it's a great name.
Thank you.
You've done so many fantastic things over the years, and I've loved you in so many things. It's almost difficult to figure out what to talk about. What do you like talking about in your career?
Not much.
Really?
Really?
Just like whatever you want to talk about.
Yeah, I mean, that's one of the weirdest thing about the Grease thing is that it's like I did it. It was a summer job. I was happy to get it a million years ago, and so I'm the last person to sort of ask about it. In a funny way, except for that little thing I mentioned earlier about I can remember what happened on a certain day, but it's a whole other experience for other people. So
can we talk about 6 Degrees of Separation? Because
you can do that.
That to me, I saw it on stage, and you were fantastic. But that film performance is one of my favorite film performances ever. It's beautiful, beautiful work, and you were nominated for an Oscar for that. What a great opportunity to get to make a film adaptation.
Oh yeah.
Of something.
Well, it's interesting because I did. I'm obviously here to talk about the thing we call Apologia, but Apologia, which I did in London, now I'm doing here. I did the same thing with 6 Degrees because I went to London with it, whole new cast, British cast, new director, and then I did the movie. So, I had to work all these different sets of actors, but even though the text was virtually exactly the same. And it was a fascinating enterprise to do, and I think that it really... it helps when you redo things. It for an actor, at least, you go back. I don't mean you improve on it, but certain things, it's like a piece of music. Certain things you emphasize, you orchestrate it differently, and it was a great opportunity. And also, guess what? You know your lines. But Fred Skepsey did a beautiful job. I thought. Yeah.
Everyone needs to watch that film if they haven't seen it.
And Will was so good in it too.
That kind of was about the world that you grew up in a little bit. Is that fair to say?
Well, I was a child in that world.
Right.
But I did not live in that world after the age of maybe 17.
Right.
So if anything, it was a world in which I had a reaction against. So I had to overcome that reaction and discover that this character was just a real person, a real human being, and not some two-dimensional thing, which probably originally I might have wanted to comment on. Do you know what I mean? But I had no. Come on. She's a real person, and you play her as a real person. And so that's something I had to kind of overcome. My own prejudices.
Yeah. And have you watched that film? You don't like watching your...
No, I don't like watching myself.
So if you're like flipping through the cable box and you see 6 Degrees of Separation is on, unlike
No, I'm
me,
not
you're
gonna
not going
watch
to cancel
it.
the rest of your afternoon
No,
to
I'm
watch
not. No, I'm not.
You're like, I don't
I
wanna
like
see
to
that.
live in the present
Right.
as much as possible.
Presently, you're on stage, so
That's right.
that's the best place for you to be.
Yeah.
Okay, we're going to take another quick break. We'll be back with more Stockard Channing. We are back with Stockard Channing, now starring in Apologia.
Perfect.
Off-Broadway.
Perfectly pronounced.
Thank you. Might say it wrong in a few hours, but
That's
Apologia.
fine.
I can do
Say
it.
it. Just
Apologia.
keep saying it, and it's fine.
I assume you get a lot of plays coming across your desk. Is that a safe assumption?
Yeah.
So what about this one what grabbed you about it?
It was so good. It was
Really?
just so good. And the part was very large and and very interesting. I found it so complex, and there wasn't a cliche in it. I just really, really, and also what people have said to me about it, which I think is great, is that every character has their point of view. It's very complex in that way. So it affects a lot of people, multi-generational, whatever, on a really good level. And it's funny too at times. It's kind of outrageous.
Do you ever think about people in your real life when you're creating characters?
You know what? I don't really. I don't do research. I don't do that sort of thing unless it's something that's, you're in a period piece. I really like interact. I like listening to other actors and thinking what she's thinking. When I know what a character is thinking, I know I'm in good, safe territory.
You talked about the time before Greece being sort of a downtime. Have you ever considered leaving the business?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, what do you think you would do?
Well, that's the problem. That's why I didn't leave the business. Because I'm not very good at other things. I mean, it's not, if, people ask me for advice about stuff, younger people, and I said, you know what, if you want to give it up, give it up. It's fine. The world will go on without you, but it requires a certain kind of obsession.
Right.
That's there, plus opportunity.
Right.
Because there's a lot of people who are really good actors, and they may not get the chance to ever work out, but you can't ruin your life if you're not going to do that. That's what life's about, is teaching you what you can do and helping you do what you can do as best as you can. But I was lucky that a lot of it worked out.
So the obsession is still in you?
Well,
Do you still feel obsessed?
I still feel that when you do something that has your whole brain and body function on all cylinders, there's something really attractive, seductive, and it's alluring about that. And I've been lucky enough to be able to make a living and have a career out of something that engages me on all these levels. And I've never found anything else that does. I'm not an inner rocket scientist, manqué. I mean, this is who I am. I'm an actress, and that's what I seem to be able to do better than anything else.
Right. Oh, absolutely. And better than a lot of other people, too.
Oh, thank you.
You're very, very skilled at it. Do you get a lot of young actors sort of coming to you and going, like, how do I create a career like this? And how do you...
I mean, that question does, obviously come up. But I don't know. I can't live in anybody else's life but my own. None of us can, really. And also, when I was younger and starting out, there was a lot of low rent venues, if you will. I mean, there was regional theater, there was more experimental theater. I never went to acting class, and I never went to, like Yale Drama School or something like that, which was just a way that my life worked out. I was exposed to a lot of different kind of material and access to material. It was really a wonderful time.
What is your life like beyond the stage?
I hang out with my friends and have a good time, and sequentially have dogs, and that's my life.
What are your dog's names?
I have one dog now, Benny. Benny Simo, I think his name should be, because he's that beautiful.
Did you make him an Instagram account? Or
no, I don't do any social media.
Well, but
at
your dog
all.
can. If your dog
Oh,
wants
he
it,
can.
I would follow.
And I have to tell him how to do this? I don't know. No, I don't do anything. I'm just leading my life.
Yeah, so like you're doing the play through December 16th.
December 16th.
And then like the holidays, what do you do? You just...
I don't know. It's interesting. I don't know what's going to be coming up sort of after this. I was thinking some friends of mine were thinking of just taking off and doing something.
Do you like to travel?
Yeah,
Where
I
do you like
live.
to
I
go?
spend
Where
a
should
lot
I
of
go?
time in London. And I go to Paris a fair amount. I'm not a big traveler. I'm not a very good tourist. Not really into.
Meaning what? You don't like to...
I don't like troop in and out of churches and things like that.
You like to go somewhere and relax.
I like to go somewhere and relax. So I've lived a lot of my life in London, so I go back there and I have a lot of friends there. So basically, I like having a good time. That's it.
So you're sort of in a lot of different places.
Yeah.
I know you're in Maine sometimes.
Yeah, I'm in Florida. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. My family's in Florida. I live there. California, Maine, wherever the work is.
Cool.
I go.
And do people yell Rizzo on the street everywhere you go?
Not so much anymore.
Not so much anymore.
Although every now and then,
Every now
there
and
it
then.
comes.
I mean, the
So-
anniversary just happened. And
Well, I mean, in a way, I'm kind of flattered I'm physically recognizable in any capacity, because it was a while ago, but it is curious when it pops up.
So do you not have stress about your career now? Is it just sort of...
Well, it sort of is what it is, isn't it?
It's what it is.
No, yeah.
a
No,
good
I don't
thing.
have stress about it at all. I used to, obviously, because when you're younger, there's so many ups and downs in careers. I mean, how many people, whatever happened to, and maybe that person you say whatever happened to is maybe 38, So it's a tricky path, I think, especially these days, because there's so much product. There is no what we used to call market penetration. I mean, when I did my television series in the late 70s, you'd get a 40 share. I mean, it was extraordinary. And now, I mean, even to me, you're so spoiled for choice because I get all these Emmy tapes and all this stuff, and I end up not watching anything because there's all this stuff I want to see.
Right.
It's just the way the world is now. So it must be very difficult to be starting out.
Right.
I would think. I
Right.
don't really know, but
Right.
I
It's
think.
extremely
Yeah.
saturated.
Yeah.
Yeah, and everyone has a Netflix series.
Yeah.
It's like I can't even keep up with them all.
I know. So, but I think it's some glorious work out there.
Yeah.
It's just there's not enough hours in the day to watch it all.
Right. Well, luckily we can all see you off-Broadway right
So
now.
off-Broadway in Apologia.
Apologia.
The Laura Pels Theater until December 16th.
And so you get a high from it? Do you like what
Oh,
do
yeah.
you like at the end of the show?
It's like if you just love that you've told the story right and people are going through these changes, watching it. It's very exciting because it's just when this play is working, it's great. But sometimes you're in a play that you may love and you're just not quite. So,
Right.
But this one's a good one. This one's a good one.
one.
So we're all pretty happy at the end.
Awesome. Well, I'm
Yeah.
thrilled. I'm thrilled that you're here. And
Thanks.
thank you so much for coming in. And everyone go check out
Apologia.
See, I did it. Apologia through December 16th. Thank you so much, Stockard.
Pleasure.
Thank you for watching. We'll see you next time.